Amen. You can have a seat. My name is Chase, and one of the pastors here. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, especially this first two rows right here. So glad that we filled those up today. I want to start with just a few questions for you to chew on throughout the service here, and I'll start with a really easy one first. What would it take for you to believe that Jesus lived and died? You don't have to shout it out because, that might be weird. But what would it take for you to believe that Jesus was a person that lived and died? What would it take? Not much, right? Right? I mean, not much. You can nod your head every once in a while. That won't hurt anything. But not much. I mean, most people, even like almost every single historical scholar, believes that there was a man named Jesus that lived around the time that the Bible says this man named Jesus lived. And from what I know about humans, if they lived, they eventually died. So it probably doesn't take much for us to say, yeah, I could admit that Jesus lived and he died. My guess is most people in the room and people online can get to that level. So let me step it up with another question. What would it take for you to believe that Jesus was in fact the Son of God? Now that's a little bit different. To believe that a man lived and a man died and maybe he was a good teacher and maybe he was a good person and maybe he did some good things, that's one thing. But to believe that God had a son, sent him to earth to live and to die and to come back to life, believe that he was the Son of God, that might take a little bit more. You might need something else. You might not be there right now in the room. But my guess is that many people in the room are also there. I mean, it's Easter Sunday. This is not my first Easter Sunday, okay? That might be weird if it was my first Easter Sunday. But if it's yours, that's not weird at all. But many people are there. Many people are at that place that say, yeah, I believe in Jesus, that he came and died and rose again. It's Easter. I'm there. So let me ask you a question. Let me take it one step further. What would it take for you to fully surrender your life to Jesus? You say, Chase, what does that even mean? Well, here's what I'm talking about. When I say fully surrender your life to Jesus, I mean giving control of every area of your life. I'm talking being willing to change anything about your life if Jesus would desire you to, where nothing is off limits, where he has access and control, he will lead and you will follow. That's the kind of surrender that I'm asking about. I'm not talking about this basic kind of easy faith that says just believe in Jesus, that he came and he died and he rose again. That's faith. But I'm talking about this easy faith that says I believe in Jesus and I live for him. And what many people, when they say, yeah, I believe in Jesus and I live for him, what they mean, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but what many Christians mean is there's things that I do that I think are good to do, and they just so happen to line up with what Jesus taught. Let me give you an example. I have never murdered anyone. A lot of you felt a lot of relief when I said that. I did not expect as much, okay? I don't know what I look like, but I didn't know. That was a big thing. I've never wanted to murder anyone, and I think that murder is wrong. And since Jesus also taught that murder is wrong, that's why I do it. I live for Jesus. There's a lot of people, you could add a lot of things in our life like that, oh, well, I don't think it's okay to do this, and I don't do this, and since it lines up with Jesus' teaching, therefore I live for Jesus. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of Christians in the world that's their living for Jesus, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if Jesus wanted you to shift some of your thinking, if Jesus wanted you to shift some of the way that you live, you'd give him control over everything. You'd be willing to wake up every single day and say, okay, Jesus, what do you want me to do today? All right, Jesus, how would you have me handle this situation? How would you have me act and live in this relationship? Jesus, how would you have me live today? What do you want from me? That's the kind of surrender that I'm asking for. What would it take to get you to that place? What would it take? I believe that that's the place that Jesus wants for all of us. Because there was this time where Jesus was teaching where he kind of said, hey, if any of you want to be my followers, he says, if you want to be a Christian, if you want to follow after me, here's what it's going to take. And then he said this. He said, you must first deny yourself. Yay. Sounds like fun. You must first deny yourself. Then You must take up your cross. And what he meant by that is that you must surrender or submit your life to me. Not only do you deny yourself and what you think is right, but you're going to give control over to me. And then he says, follow me daily. Deny yourself, submit to me, and daily follow the way that I want you to live. That's what Jesus has called us all to. That's what he wants for your life and my life. He wants us to take that step of full surrender. So what would it take to get you to that place? Well, I got to share a couple things about myself because I think you need to know this, okay? A few things that I love. Would you like to know a few things that I just love? I feel like to trust what I have to say, you need to know me a little bit, okay? So let me share a few details of me. Here's a few things I love. The first thing, oh man, I love Taco Bell. And I got to be honest, because I feel like it's time to finally get this off my chest. Over the last couple years, I have started to love Chick-fil-A more. I know that if you're new here, you're wondering why in the world is he saying any of this? I don't know, all right? But I feel like you need to know me, and I just got to be honest. I love me some Taco Bell. And here's the thing. What I've learned is that there are times where I eat Taco Bell, and I regret it afterwards. You've all had Taco Bell. Everyone that laughed, you've had Taco Bell. You know what I'm talking about. But I'm just going to be honest. I've never eaten a Chick-fil-A sandwich and regretted it afterwards. It's always good, always been good, and it doesn't mess with me later. So I enjoy Chick-fil-A. That's not what I really wanted to say. I wanted to tell you this about myself. I love talking about Jesus. I really, really do. I love talking about Jesus. I love connecting Jesus and his way of life and the way he wants us to live. I love connecting that with everyday stuff in our life. I love talking about Jesus when it comes to the silly things in your life or the serious things in your life. I love connecting the dots between what Jesus wants for us and where we're at. I love just talking about Jesus all the time. I really, really do. And what I also love is I love people. All right, I'll say I like people, okay? I really like people. Like, I really do. A lot of people say they're people. I am a people, okay? I really am. Like, it would take a lot for me to not like someone. Honestly, thinking right now, I have a hard time thinking of anyone that I don't like. And I'm closing my eyes in case I meet eyes with one of you. I'm just kidding. Like, I can't think of anyone. I'm honestly, like, I don't even like rivalries. Like, I'm not a big fan of a rivalry because, like, I'm an MSU fan. So I say go green. Yeah, I'm a big fan of MSU. But honestly, if you said go green, I'll say go blue. Because the thing is, don't jump on me now. The thing is, like, I like them both. I'm okay with MSU and Michigan. Like, I think they're both not that good at the sports they are good at. So I have no reason to hate anybody. Like, I really like everybody. It would take a lot for me not to like you. So mix those two together, my love for Jesus and talking about Jesus and my love for people. I have a really cool job where I get to sit up on a stage and talk to a lot of people about Jesus. I spend my life talking to people about Jesus, and I absolutely love it. And what I really also, you need to know this about me, is I like you, and I really want you to like me. Like, I really, really care about if you like me or not. I'm very insecure, okay? But more than I want you to like me, I want you to love Jesus. I want you to be able to get to a place in your life where you're like, man, I am fully surrendered to this Jesus. His way of life, I want to be my way of life. I want that for you so bad. So because I like you, because I love you, because I love Jesus, I brought you all an Easter basket. You have to share it with everyone. You can't take any of it home. And you actually don't even get to touch it. You just get to look at it. Because I love you. And there's no candy in it because I don't know if I love you that much. Okay? But what I wanted to do is when I speak about Jesus, what I try to do is I want you to take something home with you. I want you to walk away a little different than you walked in. And for me, at least, the way that I learn, if I can see something that somehow connects with what the person is saying, it normally sticks with me a little bit better. So I like simple visuals. So I've got a couple simple visuals to help you out today. Because I want to help you get from a place of unbelief to belief, if that's where you're at today. What would it take for you to believe Jesus is the Son of God? I want to help you take that step. But I also want to help many of us in the room that already believe that Jesus came, died, and rose again. I want to help you take a step of full out, sold out, fully surrendered to Jesus. And I believe that we're going to use the Easter eggs and a couple of small visuals to help us do that today. And we're going to look at a couple stories from the Easter story. So Easter is all about the resurrection, the empty tomb. But before the empty tomb, before the celebration that Jesus is alive, there was the crucifixion. There was Jesus dying on the cross. And if you read the story of Jesus' death, there's this small little story within the story that you might miss if you just are reading through. And I want to pull it out for you because I think it's really important. We see someone go from unbelief to belief. Let me show you. Matthew chapter 27, it says that then Jesus shouted again, and he released his spirit. This was the moment that Jesus died. He released his spirit. And it says, at that moment, the curtain of the sanctuary of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook. The rocks split apart. There was chaos. The Roman officer and the other soldiers at the crucifixion were terrified by the earthquake and all that had happened. And then it says this, they said, this man truly was the Son of God. See, right when Jesus took his last breath, all sorts of things started to change. I mean, it was so crazy. This moment that this person died impacted everything. The earth shook. The rocks split. There was crazy change happening even in the world, but there's also some change happening inside of the hearts of some of these people standing by. And I think it's kind of interesting because these soldiers, they were trained killers. This was their job, to kill people. They've killed many people before this. They were probably on track to kill more people after this. They've seen people die, but they've never seen anyone like this. See, something changed, and I started thinking about what took them from unbelief to belief. I'm acting like it's this big, giant reveal. It's really simple. The cross. Don't say, aw, don't do that. That'd be disappointing. The cross. It took these men from unbelief to belief when they saw Jesus die on the cross. They didn't even see the resurrection, and they knew something was different about this man. They went from, that's all right, I liked it. Whew. I was about to say, we're gonna real preach. About to got me the organ up here. Next year, I know what I'm doing. But something happened in their life. They went from beating a man, spitting on a man, mocking a man. Some of these soldiers were the ones that put the nails in Jesus' wrists and his feet. They killed a man, but as soon as he died, something changed within them. And I know that my guess is most of us in this room have heard this, that Jesus came and he died and he rose again. You've heard that before. So many of us in this room, we've heard that before, that Jesus died on the cross because he loved us. He died on the cross to forgive us, to take away our sin. We've heard that before. But these guys, when Jesus died on the cross, it changed everything. From unbelief to belief. And I know you've heard it before, but I want you to just sit in this for just a second. I think this should move you in your life. I think it should stir something because Jesus literally saved your life by giving up his. Jesus died on the cross to save us and forgive us. He paid everything for us. So I think hearing and seeing and knowing that Jesus willingly died on the cross, I believe, can change your life. And so before we go any further, I just want you to sit there for a second. I want you to sit in this moment that Jesus loved you so much that he gave up his life so that you could live. Sit there with me for a second. See, I think that should stir something in us. That Jesus gave up everything for us. I mean, it stirred something inside of those soldiers that were standing there and they didn't even have the resurrection yet. And their life changed. Now, here's the thing. We don't know if they became fully surrendered, full, sold-out Christians, right? We get 2 sentences about their life. That they saw what happened and they decided in that moment when Jesus died on the cross that he truly was the Son of God. They don't even know why he had to die. They don't even know that he was coming back to life. They just knew in that moment he truly was the Son of God. So we don't know if they were fully committed, but I believe that there's something more than just to believe that Jesus came and died and rose again. That's the basic of Christianity, is to believe that he came and he died and he rose again for your sin and your salvation. That's what faith is. That's what being a Christian is. And that's really important to start there. It's really important to go from unbelief to belief. I think that's really, really important. But I would just say this. If that's all faith is to you, if that's all being a Christian is to you, is that you believe that Jesus came and died and rose again, if that's it, if he doesn't get full access to your life, if he doesn't get full control, if you're not following after him, then I would just say this. Don't be mad. It's Easter. You have to like me. I would just say that you might just be a casual Christian. And I really believe that Jesus' desire is that we wouldn't just be casual Christians that occasionally come to church or occasionally think about God or occasionally talk to him or occasionally want to do what he wants us to do. I believe he wants us to be committed Christians. I believe he wants us to not just be fans of Jesus, but to be fully followers of Jesus, fully sold out to the life that he has for us. And so that's the question I'm asking. Are you fully surrendered to him? And what would it take to get there? So let me show you another story that happened after the resurrection. So Jesus dies. They place his body in a tomb. 3 days later, he comes back to life. And then I think the coolest part of Jesus' life happens right here. Jesus gets to go around and surprise people that he is now alive. This got to be the best part about his life. Everyone thinks he's dead, and he just shows up, and he's like, hey. like he didn't just like text people and be like, oh, I am back to life. Let's meet at John's house tonight. Like one time it says that they were all inside doing their thing, inside a building, doors were shut and locked, and he just like, he's here? Jesus? So we know that he appeared to lots of people, but we know that he appeared to his disciples at least 3 times. The disciples, they were his boys, they were his group of people. They had a name for themselves. We are the disciples. At least that's what the Bible calls them. So we know that he appeared to them at least 3 times. And the 3rd time, some of his disciples are out fishing. Why? Because they had given up, because Jesus had died, and they're like, let's go back to what we know what to do. Let's go fish. So they're out fishing, and Jesus comes to the shore, and he talks to them, and he starts talking to them, and they realize who he is. And it says that one of the disciples was so excited when he realized it was Jesus. This guy named Peter was so excited, he was like, Jesus, it's you. He jumped out of the boat and swam to Jesus. He was so excited that Jesus was alive, that this was Jesus, that he didn't even wait till the boat got to the shore. And it says that Jesus brought them all in to the shore, and he put a fire on, and he made them breakfast, a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel from McDonald's with extra breakfast sauce. Okay, that's not exactly what he made them. He made them probably a more healthier breakfast, something that you guys probably like to eat, fish and bread. Sounds super delicious. Nothing like waking up to a bowl of fish and bread. But it says that they ate breakfast together, and that's what Jesus made them, and they didn't seem to complain. And then we get this insight to this one small conversation that happened between Jesus and Peter. And there's this guy named John. He's the one who's writing this story. And he said the reason he wrote this letter was so that people would believe that Jesus truly was the Son of God. They would give their life to him. And he decides that it's really important that you understand this small conversation that happened on the side of this lake where they were fishing. And Jesus, remember, he's with Peter and other disciples, but he zooms in on this one conversation. I want to show it to you. It says this. It says, after breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Hey, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know I love you. So then feed my lambs." Peter looks around. He's like, "There's no lambs here." Jesus repeats the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Jesus asked. Peter said, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Well, then take care of my sheep." It says a third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" So Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a third time, so he just says this, "Lord, you know everything, and you know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Then feed my sheep." Now, I don't want to assume that you all know all the story of Peter's life, but let me give you a little backstory that will connect to this story. So Peter was kind of a really awesome dude. Peter was the guy that not always, but often spoke before he thought. And so Peter had this way of sticking his foot in his mouth at times. And I kind of like that because, well, I am like that sometimes. And so here's this story. Peter, he's actually the first person to, I think, proclaim out loud that Jesus truly was the Son of the living God. Jesus says, "Who do people say that I am?" And then he goes, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter's like, "You are the Son of the living God." And Jesus is like, "That is so right." And then Peter follows it up. He's like, "I got a right answer. Awesome." And he follows up with this. He says, "Jesus, I'll follow you anywhere. I'll even die for you." And Jesus said, "No, you won't." He said, "Actually, in just a little while, you'll deny that you even know me." Peter's like, "No way!" And guess what happened? Just a little while later, Peter. This is the third service, and my words are failing me a little bit. A little while later, Peter did just that. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. He denied even knowing Jesus, denied being a friend of Jesus. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Remember our story. Fast forward, Jesus dies, he comes back to life, he appears to his disciples, and in this moment he's sitting down with Peter and he says, not once, not twice, but 3 times, "Do you love me?" And when I see this story, what I think Jesus was doing, it's not that crazy, but I think what Jesus was doing was he was showing Peter the heart of the Father. He was helping Peter see the heart of God, a heart that knows we will mess up, that knows we will fail him, and yet still loves us and forgives us and has a purpose for our life even after our mistakes. Do you love me? Yeah. Do you love me? Yeah. Do you love me? And I bet you on that 3rd time, he recognized and realized that Jesus was doing something here. He was giving him a redo. He was giving him an opportunity for redemption. He once denied even knowing Jesus, and now he has an opportunity to remake, to do over, to fix what he had failed before, and to say, "I love you." I believe this was what Jesus was showing Peter, that God is a God of redemption, that God is a God of second chances, that God is a God that still has a plan and purpose for your life, even if you fail, even if you mess up, even if you screw up big time. I mean, Peter denied even knowing Jesus, and yet Jesus said, "I still got a plan for you." He says, "I still love you, I forgive you, I still am here for you, and I still have a purpose in your life," because he said, "Feed my sheep." He says, "I still got something for your future, Peter, even though you screwed up." When Peter sees the risen Jesus and experiences this moment of forgiveness and love and purpose, his whole world changes. See, again, maybe you don't know the full story of Peter, but Peter goes on from this moment, he doesn't go back to fishing. He goes on to become one of the greatest communicators of the gospel, to share with thousands and thousands of people that Jesus came and he died and he rose again for you, and that he loves you and he wants a relationship with you, and that you need him. He goes and tells thousands and thousands of people this. And he's so sold out for Jesus that he actually now does, in fact, give up his life for his faith. It says that Peter was crucified just like Jesus. Except Peter, he recognized how so much greater Jesus was than him that he didn't even want to be crucified in the same way. He asked to be crucified upside down. That's how sold out he was. Peter went from kind of committed to scattered to denying Jesus to now preaching Jesus and being arrested and beaten and eventually killed for his faith. This is someone who was sold out, fully surrendered because he experienced the love and forgiveness in the heart of the Father. And so I started trying to figure out, what do I have for you? How do I help some of you in this room get from unbelief to belief? How do I help some of you in this room get from belief in Jesus to fully surrendered, sold out, willing to do whatever Jesus wants you to do? How do I get you to that place? What is it that you're missing that I can give to you? What is it that you don't have that I can share with you? And to be honest, this is version 5.5 of my Easter message. 5 different times I changed this thing because I wanted it to be just right. I wanted you to get it. Actually, last night I came in at 11 p.m., left about 12:05, because I was like, I got to do this right. I got to get it right. I got to have something for them. And then this morning I came in and changed a few things because, that's 5.5. I tell you all this for one reason. I found it. I know what you're missing. I know what I can give you. I know what you don't have that you need to take that step from unbelief to belief, from belief to fully surrendered, and I was able to fit it inside of an egg. Gotta be careful with this one. Here's what you're missing. Not as clever as I thought it was. Here's the thing. You don't need anything else from me. You have everything you need. You're not missing anything to take you from unbelief to belief. It's all already been done. Jesus died on the cross because he loved you. He came back to life so that you could live for him. He already did it all. There's nothing else that I have, nothing else that I can give you to take you from believer and casual Christian to fully committed Christian. I can't give you anything else. It's already there. It's all already been done. It's already been done. Jesus died and he came back to life. Listen, his followers went to find him in the tomb. And Trent said it at the beginning, but as they went to the tomb, they found out that it was empty. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead. For thousands of years, people have tried to defute the claims that Jesus is alive. But the body's not in the tomb. I know some people that have been there. They looked. It's empty still. All they would have had to do in that moment was show you the body of Jesus dead. And everyone would have been like, uh-oh. It's empty. Jesus has already died. He's already came back to life. The tomb is and still is and was empty. You don't need any more evidence. The evidence is out there. I've looked at it. I've researched it. There is so much evidence pointing to the fact that Jesus really lived and he really died and he really came back to life. All that's missing is for you to make a decision to surrender. Now, that's not easy, but it is simple. All it needs from you, all you need, the only thing that you're missing is a decision to say, I surrender it all. You don't need another message. You don't need any more time. You don't need anything from me. The cross shows us how much Jesus cared about you. He loved you so much that he died for you. He did all this to forgive you of your mistakes and your failures and your mess up, all of your sin, past, present, and future. Jesus did all of this to show you that he loves you. And it's a love that you can't fully understand and can't fully comprehend because it was a love that led someone to give up their life for you. The question for you today is, are you willing to love Jesus more than? Remember that question he asked Peter? Do you love me more than these? Hey, Peter, do you love me more than your friends? Peter, do you love me more than your career fishing? Peter, do you love me more than a fish sandwich? All right, he maybe didn't ask that one. But do you love me more than this? And I think the same question Jesus is asking you today. Do you love me more than? Do you love me so much that you're willing to let me lead your life so that you're not in control anymore? Do you love me more than the opinions of other people as you start doing this, your life starts to change, and they start to ask questions? Do you love me more than that? Do you love me more than success? Do you love me more than anything? Are you willing to surrender everything to me? Do you love me more? You know, when you do this, when you surrender it all, this does mean that your life will look different. You might have to start thinking different. You might have to start becoming different from the world around you. But Jesus died to set you free from sin and to set you apart from the world so that you could be a billboard to those in the world. Jesus died to set you free from sin and to set you apart from the world so that you could display Jesus to the rest of the world that still needs him. Easter's story reminds us that Jesus died so that we could surrender our life to him. See, there's no better life than a life fully surrendered to Jesus. And so the only thing I have left for you is, are you willing to surrender it all? Are you willing to make Easter the day that maybe some of you went from unbelief to belief? That you said, it's time. Today is the day I got to do that. And for many of us, my question to you is, are you willing to say, Easter 2023 was the day that I said, okay, Jesus, you can have it all. I'm not going to kind of follow you. I'm going to fully surrender my life to you. Here's my life. You lead, and I will follow. That's my prayer and my heart for you, because I love Jesus and I like you and I want you to love Jesus more than anything in your life, because there is no better way to live than to live fully surrendered to him. Let me pray for you. Jesus, thank you so much for coming and dying and coming back to life for our sin. Thank you so much that for 2,000 years, millions and millions of people have been celebrating that you are risen, that you are the Son of God, that you are what we need to fully live and experience real life. But I know there's people listening right now, whether it's online or in this place, that they've never put their faith in you. They've never believed that you came and died and rose again for their sin and their salvation. So I'm asking God, pull at their heart right now. Stir something within them so they say, today's the day. And from their heart, right where they're sitting right now, from their heart to you, may they say something just like this. Jesus, I know that I've messed up, but I believe you came, died, and rose again for me and my sin. And I want you to be the Lord and leader of my life. Starting today, I want to follow you. I surrender all. And then God, I just ask for one extra piece. Would you give them the courage to come find me and say, hey, today I gave my life to Jesus for the first time. And I want to celebrate with them, and I want to encourage them in this new journey that they have ahead. And for those of us that are in this room, and we've done that years ago or weeks ago or months ago, I pray that today we would all walk out saying, today I surrender everything. I don't want to kind of follow. I'm sold out, fully committed to the life you have for me. I surrender